I grew up in a little town called Morristown, Tennessee, over in eastern Tennessee, and we were big enough that we had two of everything. We had a Belk and a Penny's. We had a Eagles and a McCrory's 5 and 10 cent store. We had two shoe stores. We had two jewelry stores. We had two drug stores, two menswear stores, two ladies' wear stores, two furniture stores, two pool rooms, two movie theaters, and 37 churches. Which I think is the correct ratio of pool rooms to churches in a southern town. Now the great thing about the movie theaters, we had the Ritz, which was not ritzy at all. They had things in there that'd eat your popcorn for you. But the Princess was nice. The Princess Theater, community theater like this used to be. The great thing about the Princess Theater was they had the cowboy matinee on Saturday afternoon. I hope y'all had that where somebody did. 10 cents, 4 hours. Duke Gibson, Ken Maynard, Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers, you name it, they had them. And you'd spend 4 hours in there when you were 10 years old and come out blind as a cave fish. People be calling each other at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. We need to get downtown and watch them 10-year-olds bump into parking meters. Well, I'd grown up out in the country, and when we moved to town, I got me a bicycle and I was free. I was gone. And of course, after 4 hours of being downtown, I'm never ready to go home, so I would do anything just to hang around downtown, I'd go to House and Hardware and look at pipe fittings, anything, And then I found the perfect place for a 10-year-old boy to spend an extra hour on Saturday afternoon, the Greyhound bus station. Because a 10-year-old boy could sit on the bench in the Greyhound bus station and hear conversations you would never hear sitting on the pew in the Baptist church. And one of the things I loved about the Greyhound bus station, you come right up, it's on the corner of Main and Louise, you come up Louise and there's a side door right there to the bus station. If you went in that door right there, go in, right there it was, there's a metal machine about this wide and about that tall, had a mirrored front over and 8 levers across the front. And a little slot that said 5 cents. And one word embossed in that mirrored front, candies, plural. And I always kept a nickel out of my allowance because the second slot from the left was my favorite candy bar. I hope you had them where you live. Called the Good Time Candy Bar, made by the Brock Candy Company in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the Good Time Candy Bar. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, what the Good Time Candy Bar was milk chocolate poured over this substance that was invented by dentists. The Good Time Candy Bar, my favorite. And I would sit there and eat a Good Time Candy Bar and sit there on the bench and listen to conversations and just wait for the bus to come in. Because back then, that's, before UPS, if your mother ordered a sewing machine from the Singer Sewing Machine Company down there in Knoxville, you'd be home one day and the phone would ring, you'd answer the phone, hello? And somebody on the other end would say, this is the Greyhound bus terminal. I'm to inform you that you have a package awaiting your pickup here at the terminal. Thank you very much. They'd hang up the phone, you'd run in the kitchen and go, Mom, we got something at the bus station. She'd say, come on. You'd get into the soda and right down there at the bus station, and there would be her new sewing machine sitting in the floor of the bus station. All the good stuff came on buses back then, right? That's it. Anyway, I was sitting there one day on my bench. Wow! Big Greyhound bus stop. I went running out there. Door swung open, people come down the steps and gathered around on the sidewalk. And then here come that man in the uniform, the gray uniform. The Eisenhower jacket. Had his name Floyd, little Greyhound dog in silver over here, wide black stripe that went from his black belt down to his black Oxfords, you know, and a little silver circle on the side with enough keys he could have been a middle school janitor, you know. He'd go down and he'd say, "Excuse me, folks, step back now." And people would, they'd step back and he'd fish around in that water key. There it is. And that old water keys was on a spring-loaded chain. He'd go down the side of the bus, unlatching the bus bays. And he'd open the front and the suitcases. He'd pass out suitcases, people go wherever they were headed. And then he'd go for the cargo bay, and that's where the good stuff was. And I remember standing there and waiting to get to the cargo bay, and this white pickup truck pulled up, parked right there behind the bus, and on the door, in blue lettering, it said, "Bob Bales, Ford Motor Company, Morristown, Tennessee." And then in nice script writing with quotation marks, it said, "Your friendly Ford dealer." Well, a man got out of it in these greasy coveralls and come walking over there, and his name was stitched on his outfit there, but I didn't have to read it. I knew who he was. It's Tommy Whittington. Tommy Whittington was a mechanic at Bob Bell's Ford and my Sunday school teacher. He come over and stood next to me and did that thing that no 10-year-old boy can stand have done to him, and patted me on the top of my head. He said, "Hey, Michael, going to New York today?" I said, "No, sir, I'm not going to New York today, but Sunday I'm going to New York, by golly." I said, "Are you going to New York, Mr. Whittington?" He said, "No, I think you got something in this bus bay. Let's wait and see if it don't." About that time, a bus driver raised that back bus bay door open, and him and Mr. Whittington drug the entire right front fender of a 1959 Thunderbird. Put it in the back of the Bob Bell's truck. Mr. Whittington got in, made a big U-turn, and took off back down toward the Ford dealer with that fender, and I went, "It's amazing what you can learn hanging out at the bus station." That's where cars come from. One Saturday, I'd been down at the bus station to come rolling into the yard, and my bicycle throwed it down the grass, went running in the front door and yelling, "Mama! Where are you?" She said, "I'm not in China, I'm in the kitchen. What is it?" I went in there, I said, "I got to use the phone right away." She said, "What?" I said, "I need to use the phone." I said, "Okay, if I use the phone." She said, "You gonna call one of your buddies or something? Somebody didn't show up at the movies?" I said, "No, ma'am. I've got a number here to call and get a free candy bar." She said, "Well, that's nice. Where did you get a number to call and get a free candy bar?" I said, "It was wrote on the men's room wall at the station." Excuse me? I said, "It was wrote on the men's room wall at the Greyhound bus station. I copied it down letter for letter, number for number, got it right here." She said, "Well, before you call that number, you mind if I look at that piece of paper?" I said, "No, Mommy, you can call and get you a free candy." For a good time. Something wrong, Mama? Uh-huh. You know what'll happen if you call this number? Nuh-uh. They'll want 4 to 6 weeks delivery. She said, "We don't want to fool with that. I tell you what, get in the DeSoto, I'll take you down to the store and we'll buy both of us a candy bar." See, that's the kind of person my mother was. She didn't want her 10-year-old boy to have to wait 4 to 6 weeks for his candy bar. 1966, by the skin of these very teeth right here, I graduated from Morristown High School, and I had been accepted into the engineering program at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville that fall. Now, my brother had already been down there about 14 years. He was a career man. So I knew that I was going to have to get a good summer job to try to help my parents, defray the cost of 2 of us being down there. So I thought, well, maybe I'd get a job at one of the movie theaters, or maybe someplace in town like that. But through a friend of a friend, Mr. Tommy Whittington happened to know a man who knew a man who got me in contact with Brown and Root Construction Company, and I got a job in Illinois as an apprentice pipe fitter, a welder, on back when they were laying big pipeline. Now, minimum wage was $1.25 in the summer of 1966. I was going to be making $7.50 an hour for the first 8 hours Monday through Friday. And then I was going to get 4 hours of overtime, time and a half every day, Monday through Friday. I was going to get 12 hours of time and a half on Saturday and 12 hours of double time on Sunday. The way I figured it out on a piece of notebook paper, by sometime around Labor Day, I was going to have more money than the Catholic Church. It didn't work out quite that way. But anyway, so the warehouse was in a little place called Peatone, Illinois. The closest bus station was Kankakee. My mother took me to the Greyhound bus station, bought me a one-way ticket to Kankakee, Illinois. And that man took my suitcase and slid it under that first bay and locked her down and stepped up inside that bus and stuck his head back out there. I was standing there with my mama, and he said, "Son, are you going with your suitcase?" I said, "Yes, sir. I just want to tell my mama goodbye." He said, "When you hear that big Detroit diesel back there crank up, the door shuts and we're going north." I said, "I'll be right there." Now my mother was standing there and she said, "Take this." And what it was a Cas Walker brown paper grocery bag rolled down till it was about that high. She handed it to me, and when she did, I knew what was in it. I could feel it. It was a paper plate with about 7 pieces of her fried chicken, covered in aluminum foil. She said, "Take this and remember 2 things." I said, "What are they, Mom? I gotta go." She said, "Number 1, when you get on that bus and leave here, you remember who you are." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I will." She said, "And the other thing, do not eat where this bus stops. You don't know who's handled that food." So I kissed my mama, got on the bus. Driver shut the door, cranked the big Detroit, and up Main Street we went. And I made my way back that little aisle all the way to that back little bench seat next to that little tiny bathroom. Set my bag down on that brown vinyl and got up and looked in the window, and I could see my mama. We waved each other outside. Somewhere around Lexington, Kentucky, somewhere around 1 o'clock in the morning, this old East Tennessee boy was feeling homesick for the first time in my life. Then I looked down and I saw that Cas Walker grocery bag sitting there. And I thought to myself, "Well, son, there's the cure for homesick. It's right there in that bag." And I picked up that bag and unrolled the top and looked inside, and there it was. That tin-foil covered plate with my mother's fried chicken. And right on top was a good time candy bar. Oh, there used to be a Greyhound station on the corner of Main and Louise. And when I was a kid, I'd go down there and sit and pretend it was my time to leave. And then one day my dad was driving down Main Street, saw me sitting where I used to sit, and he parked his old Ford and walked in the door and said, "Mind if I sit with you a bit?" He said, "I know you want to run with the big dogs. There are big things that you've got to do. But remember that bus that takes you from us always will be coming back through." He said, "Once I sat here on this same bench when Uncle Sam called me to fight, and your mama sat down where you're sitting now and couldn't talk 'cause she'd been crying all night. And then he reached for his tattered old billfold, and he carefully took out a note. It was all stained with tears and faded with years, and he read the words my mama wrote. I know you've gotta run with the big dogs. There are big things that you've gotta do. But remember that bus that takes you from us always will be coming back through. Now that Greyhound station on Main Street is a Salvation Army thrift store. And one bus a day stops out on the highway at the BP on Route 24. Today I took my dad's clothes to that thrift store. I stood on that spot where we sat, I unfolded that note that my mama wrote and read the words that one day drew me back. I know you've gotta run with a big dog. There are big things that you gotta do. But remember that bus that takes you from us always will be coming.